So we got a red market. We got Congress coming out of recess. We need the Clarity Act. And the actual Middle East is actually bubbling out of control once again. We're going to just concentrate on the actual Clarity Act, what's going on, where we're at, because there's 4 points of actual value that needs to be concluded. But what is on the table is what I want to talk about. And that hard August date, is it realistic? Let's get into it. So we got to stop by the market because it's a lot of red. You see Bitcoin at $62,000. ETH is sliding as well. Tether is a stable coin, and Tether has major issues, man. But I'm not even going to go into that. I may do a standalone video for that because there's some new issues that are coming up with Tether. BNB, they're going to be launching a new layer 1 dedicated, brand new, spanking new chain next year. We're definitely going to get into that as well on the channel. XRP is trying to get back up. It's down across the board. Everything is bleeding. Solana is bleeding. Tron, Hyperliquid is bleeding. Dogecoin is, if you care about that anymore, it's bleeding. You have Zcash, which they're doing another major upgrade to that privacy protocol. It's up 13%, and I think it's because of that news. They're actually coming together. The dev team is not fractured. They're going to be doing some updates to Zcash, so that's pretty decent. That is going to be the lone wolf. If you really think about it, you see this little green spot, and that's Zcash, up 13%. And Leo's up 1%, but I got to tell you, the rest of the altcoins, they're getting decimated. You have DX as well, up 40%. That thing is still rocking and rolling, but the whole altcoin market in general, it's suffering because of what's going on. These are the residuals effect of what's going on with Bitcoin, geopolitics, the macro, and a lot of ETF outflow. This is what's going on. Let's get into the Clarity Act. So is it realistic? This is the conversation. August the 8th, they're coming back off a reset. We have a week or two, within July for them to actually get the markup. So here's the thing. We're still talking about stablecoin activity, and we're talking basically passive income. That is still a conversation. That language has not been finalized. DeFi, decentralized finance, those actual legal parameters, they're still being conversated on as well. There's no consensus there as well. Ethics, which is a big thing. And at the end of the day, you got to merge all this into one markup. So will we get that next week? Not too sure. All right, August the 31st is that deadline. But with all that being said, let's get into this video because what I heard in this video was very interesting. So we got to get into this. This is going to cap off the video. There's a lot of nuggets in this particular interview. And then the actual congressman, the senator, he says some very interesting things about meme coin language. There's actually going to be some actual language that's going to regulate meme coins. This is what they're talking about amongst a lot of other stuff too as well. But let's go ahead and jump into this. This is very interesting.
Congressman, we got to talk about the Clarity Act. We are approaching the 1-year anniversary of the House passing the Clarity Act. It's been stuck in the Senate since then. Debate centered around ethical issues in the bill. CFTC Chairman Michael Seelig joined me earlier this week, and here's what he said to me about it. Watch. Is it that the Democrats are stopping the progress because of ethics issues and trying to get specific language in there about President Trump and his family in crypto?
Well, there's certainly some mission creep beyond what's really critical here. We want to set standards and protect consumers, protect investors, and that's something that Democrats and Republicans should be able to get behind. I do think there's a little bit of this creep into ethics and other types of extraneous issues, and they're just derailing this real opportunity to have a bipartisan bill in place. Otherwise, you end up with regulators like me writing all the rules, and I'm sure all the Democrats would prefer to get something in place that's bipartisan.
I don't really consider the ethics part as extreme as they do. I believe we do need some sort of ethics provisions there. I don't think it's erratic or anything extremist about that at all. I think it's needed. But with that being said, let's continue.
So, Congressman, I'd love to know your thoughts on what's holding this back. I will be speaking with the vice chairman of Coinbase momentarily. Ryan Van Grack will be joining me in the next hour, but we've already talked about what Jamie Dimon said about the Clarity Act, even though he reluctantly supported where we are right now. You said the Clarity Act will end years of regulatory uncertainty, but we're not certain that this is going to get across the finish line yet because it's stuck in the Senate. What's going on?
Well, that's a problem. I want to thank Gillibrand and Lummis and Bozeman and Scott and many others on both sides of the aisle who want to get to yes. And they've been working with our bill where we got 78 Democrats to support our bill exactly a year ago. We're coming to New York next week to have a field hearing led by Brian Stile, our subcommittee chair on digital assets, to highlight why this is so important to have a market framework. We've got to get beyond concerns that some have about ethics. And I would summarize it like this, Maria. If we passed the Clarity Act last summer, many of the things that people were expressing concern about, meme coin issuance, co-investment, use of exchange, investing in exchanges, all that would be under a market.
Okay, so I want to stop there just briefly. What does he mean by meme coin issuance? Because apparently, this is what I'm getting from this, there's going to be some meme coin language. Meme coins are about to be regulated. And I didn't think they were going to do that within this particular infrastructure. As far as I was concerned, I didn't think meme coins are going to be touched. But if they're going to actually move in ethics provisions and they're actually going to put in some meme coin language, that's going to be very interesting for Donald Trump.
Framework of regulation with clarity, no pun intended. And that would provide a lot of transparency to people that are concerned about the Trump family's investments. We've got to look at the big picture here. And we've got to get this market framework in place to be combined with the Genius Act, which is the stablecoin legislation that's already been enacted into law. You can't have a functioning, innovative marketplace and grow this economy on blockchain and use digital assets and tokenization if you don't have both. Stablecoin is like a cell phone not connected to a cell phone network. And the
absolutely, I totally agree with what he just said. That was a perfect analogy.
Framework that Mike Seelig talked about is, in fact, that network that we need.
So before I move on to the Housing Act, do you expect that the Senate feels that way, the way you do, and will get this on the floor and pass the Clarity Act soon? You think it'll happen this summer?
I've encouraged Senate leadership to put it on the floor. I think if you schedule a floor date here in the month of July, that will cause these final meetings, these final discussions to take place. You've got to have a deadline in Congress to get people to move and find consensus.
So the senator, let me know what you think about what he said. I agree with everything that he said. And about the meme coin actual language, they're about to be regulated. So it's going to be interesting what that looks like because no one saw that coming. All right. Are we going to get this bill in August or are we going to go through this year with no market structure and probably going to go all the way into 2030 because I don't think the Democrats are going to move this if they take the majority. Let me know what you think about it and we'll catch you on the next video.